Hi there, welcome back. Today is going to be a tough topic, so just a warning, heads up. I titled this one, You Should Be Scared, because you should. Not a happy thing to think about. But if you're going to be honest with yourself and take your health back, that's part of it, is understanding why you should be scared. Why, as the richest nation on earth, are we sicker and fatter than ever before? We spend billions and billions of dollars on diets. We're fatter. We have more type 2 diabetes. We have more coronary artery disease, the #1 killer. We are dying from preventable chronic lifestyle diseases. So let's dig into that. But first, here's a list of some of the diseases that are plaguing us right now. Okay, so let's say you do try to eat healthy, you eat lots of fruit and veg. Well, there's bad news there too. The food grown today does not have the same nutrients that it did 40, 50 years ago. Partially due to poor soil quality. The soil has been decimated with overuse of herbicides and pesticides and chemicals. The soil, just like your microbiome, is supposed to be a rich and diverse ecosystem with tons of microbes that do all kinds of things for us, including make B12. But you didn't know that. B12 is made in the soil. It's not made in the animals you eat. It's not made in the supplement I take because I'm vegan. It's made in the soil by microbes. Decimating all of these ecosystems is going to have an effect. So, our food is not as nutritive as it used to be. It has also been hybridized for shelf life, transit time in trucks across the country, resilience to pests. So that has come at a cost of some of the nutritional value. And as I've said in other posts, if you're over 40, you remember what food used to taste like. You remember that it had taste. I really miss tomatoes. I really miss tomatoes. I remember being on my grandfather's farm, and he would pluck things right there and we would eat them, and the flavor was amazing. I actually feel sorry for the generations that have come after us that don't and will never probably know what that tasted like. But that flavor was nutrition. They're intimately connected. So you're trying to eat well, but the food you're eating is not even as nutritionally dense as it used to be. Then you have leaky gut and poor microbiome health. So we can't digest or assimilate the nutrients we are getting as well as we should. Strike two. Even worse, if you have leaky gut, good nutrients and bad pathogens end up leaking out into the rest of your body, into your bloodstream, where they shouldn't be. And they set off systemic inflammatory response and can lead to autoimmune conditions, where your body no longer recognizes self from not self because your stomach and your system has become a sieve. That's leaky gut and dysbiosis. But wait, there's even more. Is our food even safe anymore? Is it? I don't think anyone would argue that highly processed junk food is not nutritious or healthy. But what about the fruit and veg? Or just additives? Let me dive off for a second. We'll diverge into a little story. I was shopping with a client one day, and we were going through the grocery store getting supplies and food for him. And one of the things that I do with clients is we don't just go shopping for food. I let them gravitate towards what they would normally buy, but then I pick that up and I turn it over and we read it together. And we see what's in it and what you're putting in your body. See, part of this journey is about the information. It's not just your gut, it's what you're learning. So we picked up a package that had carrageenan in it. That's a pretty controversial substance, and I'll put links to carrageenan in the end notes here. But I did my own due diligence on it because I kept hearing it come up, sort of in my zeitgeist. It was around. And I've been around carrageenan in my professional life because it's made from seaweed. It's all natural. It's used in the alginate to make molds in film and television, to make monster masks and stuff like that. So it's considered inert. It's used in a lot of things, shakes and frosties and stuff. And again, it's from seaweed, so it's all natural. What's the big deal? What's the problem? One of the things I found out when I did my due diligence that I told my friend as we were reading that package in the store is carrageenan is used by pharmaceutical companies when they are testing out drugs. It is used to induce inflammation in the subject in order to test the drug. I don't know about you. I don't need any more inflammation in my life. I am inflammatory enough. I got plenty of pain, plenty of inflammation. I don't need to be eating additives in my food that induce inflammation. So that's just one of the things I found out. Is our food safe? I was really starting to question that. I think you should too. And what about GMOs? What's all the fuss about? I keep seeing articles dismissing people who are anti-GMO as being radical, fanatic, fringe, whatever. But let me tell you something. This is not your grandmother's hybridization. This is not crossbreeding her two favorite tomatoes to make a nice new tomato. Oh, no, 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 no. We are so advanced. We are so far beyond that crossbreeding thing. They can actually insert genes, corporations are doing this, inserting genes into plants from other species. Not just other species, other class and phyla from animals. Animal genes into corn or soybean or wheat. That's frankenfood. I'm sorry. That's not being fringe. That's weird. To be eating multiple species gene edited into your food. Animal genes, viruses, Roundup Ready. You should look that up. Genes inserted into plants to make them tolerant to glyphosate. I'm going to do a whole episode on glyphosate, so put a pin in that. If you research GMOs, and I encourage you to, like I said, don't ever take my word for anything. Check me, vet the source, vet it again. You have to do your own due diligence here. But if you research GMOs and safety, most articles say there are no issues. But here's my issue with them saying there's no issue. No, they're there. We have been engineering and spraying crops to be BT ready since 1996. Years without doing any impartial, long-term studies on impacts to human health. In other words, we are guinea pigs to a very large experiment. And in the case of glyphosate, the active ingredient harms the shikimate pathway. Now, your cells don't have a shikimate pathway. Doesn't mean anything to your cells. You know who does have a shikimate pathway? The bacteria in your gut. When you eat glyphosate, you're taking an antibiotic, which decimates your microbiome. No gut health, no health for the rest of you. So we are only beginning to realize that all the friendly fire consequences of using glyphosate and harming our microbiome. It's implicated in gluten sensitivity, autoimmune conditions, general allergies, and antibiotic resistance. And finally, we don't know whether there will be gene transfer from the crops that have been altered into our own genes. We just don't know that, particularly when we are using genes from other species inserted into plants. This is the definition of frankenfoods. You know, in the end, you have to decide for yourself if it concerns you all of what I've just addressed. But I will posit this as food for thought. When you run into an issue which seems controversial and you can't figure out which side is right, stop and ask yourself, which of the two sides is likely to benefit financially from their position? I mean, you can scream from the rooftops that there's no issues with GMOs, but if that was true, why did Big Ag spend billions and billions of dollars creating ag-gag laws, creating non-GMO legislation, lobbying Washington to make sure that we don't get to know whether our food is GMO or not? Whether you think it's safe or not is a decision you have to come to. But I want to know. I want to have the right to transparency in my food, to know what I'm eating. If I choose to eat a GMO product, fine, so be it. But I want to know what I'm putting in my body. I want to have the right to know. And when a corporation spends billions to make sure that you don't get access to that information, that should raise some alarm bells. You should be scared. So, the other thing I would say, when you're not sure who to believe, when you're doing the due diligence and both sides seem okay, ask yourself, if it seems too good to be true, bacon is good for you, eggs are good for you, there's no harm to GMO, let's just keep doing it, but you aren't seeing positive outcomes? Like, what is the outcome of what we've been doing? We are sicker and fatter than we have ever been. We suffer from chronic lifestyle diseases on a scale unprecedented in history. So the behavior that we've been doing is leading to outcomes that are not favorable to your health. It's just that simple. So if you continue the same behavior and expect a different outcome, that's the definition of insanity, right? So all of these things that we've been doing, compromised soil, compromised microbiome, GMOs, pesticides, additives, frankenfoods, they're leading to inflammation, autoimmune, allergies, dysbiosis, autism. Is it working? Really? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And I, for one, want to know what's in my food and what's going in my body, because I'm really, really serious about health and longevity at this point. So that's where we are. You should be scared. Sorry. You should be scared, but get informed. Do the due diligence. Find out. When you find an article that's very pro something controversial, whether it's carrageenan, or Roundup, whatever, do yourself a favor and find out who paid for that article. Right? Is there conflict of interest? Was that article in the New York Times about eating meat is fine? Was that sponsored and paid for by the Beef Board? Something to think about. All right. Hope you're staying with me on the journey. Peace out. Bye. So here comes the disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. I am on a hike in my mountains, my local hills, right there. So all I can say is this is a journey you have to take for yourself, as I took it for myself. You have to find out what works for your own body to bring your health back in alignment, to take accountability for your health, and gain some autonomy. The medical system is not going to do it for you, and pills aren't going to cure you. They're just going to allay symptoms. So if you're interested in doing more, talk to your doctor and do the journey for yourself. Again, I'm not a doctor. I just did what worked for me and my body, and I hope you will take the journey to find out for yourself what it takes to get back to health. Peace out. Bye.